Buongiorno, buonasera, benvenuti amici. Welcome my friends. My name is Vincenzo and welcome to my channel, and that channel is Fountain Pen Therapy. Well folks, welcome to a new recap. Lots of fun stuff this week. Started out bad, I gotta tell you, right before I'm taping this episode, went to the golf course hoping to get a game in, and unfortunately we got some frost. It was 0 degrees this morning, so they wouldn't allow us to go onto the course. Of course, we had to wait. We waited a couple of hours. I met my friends. We had breakfast, and you know what? We decided, despite the fact that it's a sunny day, the wait, was too long, so we had to kind of retreat and go back home. But I'm so glad that when I come back home, I have this to look forward to. So, you know what, folks? It's a second type of therapy. I'm not sure which is more important in my life right now, apart from my family, whether it's fountain pens or golf. I think it's seasonal. They're kind of, I think there's place for both, so why not? So without any further ado, I've got lots of stuff to show you. Fountain Pen Therapy presents the weekly recap for October the 12th, 2025. Okay, so we're back. Let's start off with the market, shall we? Okay, let's go to my computer. Take a look at what I got for you. First thing, this pen is attracting my attention. I've never heard of this company or this brand, Manon Full Sound X500. It's just the shape of this pen, the fact that there's carbon fiber, aluminum alloy. The only thing that I don't like about it is the nib. Now, where is the nib? I think it's here. There's not much emphasis. It doesn't look like there's, I don't know what this nib is, but the rest of the pen is really, really intriguing. It's just the price is making me hesitate. Why is it $80, or $76? Next. Keep in mind this Natami vacuum filling. I know I've mentioned it before. I've ordered it. As soon as I get it, I will review it. Next, I realize I don't have this pen. I thought I did, and I looked for it, but I don't. It's the Hongdian 6016. Could have sworn I had this pen, but I don't checked, and I don't have it. So I'm not sure it's a new offering or not. It's only offered in extra fine. It is a natural wood barrel with a steel or with a metal cap. So there's that. Mahjong Mutong Anato fountain pen made of wood. If you guys are like me into wooden pens, this may be of interest. Only downside is it's only a, now let me just see, can't even see the nib unfortunately, but it looks like there's only a 0.38. What is that? 0.38 I think is an extra fine. So there's not much there. Another Hongdian pen that I realize I don't have is the 1843 Voyager just in case you guys are looking for it. Here it is. Now, on Etsy, I wanted to mention, not this one, sorry. Hadn't visited Chinese Pen, or Saint PPS, if you will, Bobby's Pen, used to be known. He's selling the L Lemon M8, what he calls 8C, just with this color, and this looks like the Mont Blanc anniversary pen, I think. Or is it the Little Prince? I'm not sure. But there you have it. There's a different option there. What I like about Saint or Chinese Pen is that they offer all kinds of things. So I think I'm going to put their site in the description for you guys to look at. He does have variations of nibs. So he'll put stubs on certain nibs. He'll put certain nibs into in bold. So he does have for that, and he offers all these pen cases that are interesting. I don't like the pricing, but there may be something in there that might be of interest to you guys. So I thought I'd mention. I'm going through this as we speak. He's got a lot of variations of nibs, which is very, very interesting. And I keep forgetting to take a look at it, and I am certainly giving you a heads up. So we'll stop right there. But that's Chinese Pen, or Saint Pen PPS. Peyton Street Pens have been quiet, but what I noticed is they're offering these combination pens, or these hybrid pens. So for example, you can get this Lotus in a ST Dupont nib. You can get, like this one too, in a, you can get this one. This one is in a Schaefer, with a Schaefer nib. This one you can get in a S Dupont. This one, another Schaefer Balance nib. You can get a Cartier nib. So it's kind of hybrid. You can put them in bodies. I think it's either Lotus or Ranga, but different types of nibs. So I thought that was interesting. Casa de la Stilografica. Oh, yes. I think they're the ones who has the cheapest price on the new Kaweco AL Sport piston in navy, special edition. Their price is good. Everybody's raving about this new matte. And he's got a 10% discount on it if you pre-order it. It's this M809 Pelican Souverain in this matte black. Everybody's just raving over that one. Apple Boom's got this new Zveva. This pen maker, actually, it was this pen that he had offered to send to me for review purposes, but he was going to charge me 900 euros instead of 1280, and I hesitated. But it looks like he's finally getting his pens out there. Zveva Virtus is decently priced at 177.69, as you can see here. And I think that Nino Marino is helping him in some ways. I don't know if he's using Nino Marino's facilities to build these pens. But a new pen maker. And it's nice that Appleboom's got him on his site. Stalogy, by the way, is offering the monthly diary A5 Slim 2026. So there you have it at $25. Stalogy is a decent product that I would recommend. And by the way, take a look at Katawiki. They're offering the Waterman Edson, or the Série Boucheron. I can't order it. It tells me it doesn't deliver in Canada. But anybody interested in bidding for that pen, it's quite expensive. But they do also have the Edson and the ballpoint and the fountain pen available. So take a look at the Katawiki fountain pen auctions. They may be of some interest. So there you have it for what's new in the market. Take a brief pause. Stay tuned for my next segment. Be right back. Okay, so we're back. Having looked at the market, now we'll take a look at what's new in the fountain pen Therapy Studios. And I've got some paper, I've got some inks to show you, and I've got some new pens that I've just received to show you as well. As we usually do, let's start off with paper. What have I got for you? Well, here it is. Let me go to my overhead camera and show you. It is this notebook, CANOPUS Note. Let me just back out a little bit here so you get a full picture. It is from Japan, brand new Yamamoto paper. Has put out the 2025 CANOPUS Note, and this is supposed to take the place of another paper that apparently is no longer around, which is the Cosmo Air Light. And as you can see, it's a very similar notebook coming from the same people. And I thought, why not? Let's compare these two. This is supposed to replace this. Well, let's take a look at that and see if it's done that. I know that Cosmo Air Light had its very nice performance in terms of how it brought out the inks. Some people complained that, it had a tendency to, your finger, the sweat from your fingers or the stains from your fingers would kind of go onto that paper, and then when you wrote over it, it kind of skipped and stuff. But other than that, it was a pretty nice paper. It has a little more texture, I would say to you, than the Tomo River, but very well regarded. This is supposed to take its place. So let's open it up. I mean, I haven't seen this notebook yet. I trust that this is a simple notebook. It's not a journal or a planner of any sort. So I'm not expecting it to have... oh, very nice. This usually comes with the Yamamoto. Very nice. It's kind of a sheet guide. It is plain, so the sheet guide will work out really nicely. And as you can see, it's a bunch of blank pages. There's really not much more to the notebook. Does it have a little sleeve in the back? No, it doesn't. So there you have it. And of course, well bound. It sits very nicely. That's never a problem. I don't think I have many notebooks that don't open up that way. This was the Cosmo Note with the Cosmo Air light paper. Similar, a little more, I would say to you, kind of a little more beige. And the camera's not picking it up. Just slightly more beigey than the CANOPUS. In terms of feel of the two, just the sheets. Let me just see. I can tell you, I think they're equivalent in terms of thickness and feel. Pretty much equivalent. Maybe the new CANOPUS just slightly smoother, I would say, than the Cosmo Air Light. But wow, very difficult to say just on the touch. But we're going to take a look. We're going to swatch some inks, and we're going to take a look at what the differences are. I've also proposed that I've got a lot of pens that are going to be inked with the inks that I proposed to you. So we're going to do some writing on both these notebooks, and we'll really take a look at what the difference is between them. So that's it for the paper. Let me set up, bring out the inks, and we'll do some swatching. Be right back. Okay, so we're back for the inks. Last week, you'll recall that I brought out some Wieringal inks, and 3 of the 4 were, in fact, shimmering inks. And I kind of rediscovered the beauty of those inks that I kind of put aside, for several months, and maybe in the last year and a half, maybe 2 years. I've been trying to concentrate on building my collection and adding very nice Grail pens, gold nib pens, expensive pens. And I kind of took the high road and said, you know what, I'm not going to even try to put shimmering inks in those pens. And so kind of shimmering inks kind of fell by the wayside. And I've got dozens and dozens and dozens of bottles of beautiful ink that I haven't used for months, and maybe go as far as saying almost a year, if not more. And then I thought, to add some variety, we bring out some shimmering inks. And I saw those Wieringal inks that seemed to me to be the type of shimmering inks that I could write with. You know what I'm saying? So we brought out 3 of the 4, and yes, For Whom the Bell Tolls was not a shimmering ink. My apologies if I misled anybody. I was corrected. In fact, it was not. It was obvious. But 3 of those were, and I figured I'd stick to it. And not only that, but you, the viewers, gave me all kinds of tips on which pens to use, which pens not to use, how to modify feeds, what nibs to use, etc., etc. So some of the tips are already new, some were novel, and I said, you know what, we'll go on, we'll continue with some of the shimmering inks and see where it takes us. So I've got 4 shimmering inks to propose for you, and now there are 4 this week. And so here they are. Let me go to my overhead camera and I'll show you what I've got for you. They're all DIAMINE inks. As you know, DIAMINE inks, generally speaking, are well-behaved inks. And I'm assuming, and maybe wrongly, but I'm assuming that their shimmering inks, although shimmering, will also be well-behaved to the extent that they're still shimmering inks. So I've got 4 of them to propose for you. I've got a blue flame, so that's the blue. I don't have a red, but I do have a kind of a brandy dazzle, so this goes on an orangey brown shade. I have a purple or a violet. It's a magenta flash, so it's a magenta, in fact. And I've got a green, which is the golden oasis. So those are the 4 inks that I propose. We'll put those aside for now. We are, of course, in terms of tools, we're going to be using my trusty folded nib, folded pen, along with the Sailor Okoro. Okoro, is that it? Yeah, Okoro, but with the feed, which is really working out for me these days. Let's bring out my paper again. This will be my Cosmo. So this is going to be that's the Cosmo Air Light. And this is the new CANOPUS. So, and I think the camera is picking it up pretty well, that the Cosmo is slightly more beige than the CANOPUS. CANOPUS is still beige. It's not an electric white. I don't know if the camera is picking that up, but different tones, as you can see. So, without any further ado, let's start. We'll start with the blue flame. Now, some of you told me that I should be shaking after every time I try to write, and every time. I don't want to bore you guys, so we're going to try to do this as uniformly as we can, at least with the swatch. That's a nice royal blue, let me tell you. So far, in terms of texture, I got to tell you, pretty even stuff. Now, yes, I know that the particles are descending, but you're going to have to bear with me. Okay, so this is Diamine. Whoop. And what is it again? Blue flame. I can definitely feel the texture. Yeah, I can tell you that so far the writing experience is quite similar, but time will tell. I just have 1 ink down. Whoa, sorry about that. I'm having difficulty closing this cap. Okay, here we go. Next will be this orange. Let me give it a nice shake here. So far it appears to be kind of a moderate shimmering ink, the blue flame. I don't see it. It's not over the top, if you know what I mean. Yeah, as you could see, there is a little bit of a brown tone to this, what do they call it? Brandy Dazzle, I think it is. Is that what it's called? Yeah, Brandy Dazzle. So, Dieman. Lots of texture. I find that even this nib doesn't flow on the paper as much as it flows, for example, on a Tomoe River. So you can definitely feel the texture of the paper kind of impeding a little bit that otherwise easy flow. Okay, this is the Magenta Flash. It's appearing red right now, at least based on my display. I don't know how it looks to you, the viewers, but trust me, there's more of a brown orange there than a red. Wow, this is a very nice. Huh. What a beautiful magenta this is. Wow, 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 wow. Very nice. Okay, let me just dip that. So, this is Diamine. Magenta Flash. Yeah, I mean, this is, I misstated. It's certainly not a purple or even a violet. It's a magenta. There we go. Very nice. Very, very nice. And again, well, I don't see a lot of shimmer, but it's definitely there. Okay, so this is the last one, which will be our green ink, which is named Golden Oasis. So let me just shake that up well so we can get all of that shimmer floating to the top, well evenly flowed. Oh, that's a real nice, I would call it an Italian green, if you know what I mean. It's like the green part of our flag. So, and it's golden. I think I spelled oasis wrong there. Okay, so they're drying up nicely. And let me just go up a little bit to kind of, yeah, you could see now that I just put those a little bit closer. You can definitely see that the Brandy Dazzle is indeed a brandy as opposed to a red. And they're all drying up really nicely. So we'll let the drying take place, and we'll be right back and take a closer look at these inks. Okay, the inks are nice and dry. Let's take a look at these, and maybe we'll just kind of close up, and we'll do one at a time and move the paper. Pretty even, I would say to you, kind of evokes the same I can see a little more shimmer on the Cosmo Air Light than I can on this CANOPUS. But, you know, this is not scientific. I think you see, you know, it's the equivalent. You see the same thing. Very nice. I mean, it brings out the shimmer. There's no doubt. You can tell when I kind of put it against the light. As you can see, very similar performance, both the writing and the swatch. So you can see the gold there, and you can see the gold there. So in terms of what I see, the writing experience, yeah, one is the equivalent of the other. Now, what do I see on the other side? Whoa. On the CANOPUS, let me just... Okay, let me just... This is Cosmo Air Light, and this is the CANOPUS. On the CANOPUS, I don't see any... There is no bleed-through at all. Ghosting. But even the swatches are just ghosting, no bleed-through. But I have some bleed-through on the Cosmo Air Light. And keep in mind that when I swatched, I did try to swatch them evenly, you know. So why, I'm not sure. There may have been a double dip, because I dipped once to swatch my my CANOPUS, and then I dipped a second time to swatch my Cosmo Air Light. Does that cause one to be wetter than the other and maybe caused a little bit of bleed through? Perhaps that could be an explanation. But based on the first one, you can see that it's pretty equivalent. I would say to you folks, we're talking about paper that is very, very, very similar. Very, very similar. So there you have the ink swatching and the paper. We're going to come back and take a look at some pens. Okay, so we're back for what's new in terms of pen all. I've got 4 writing instruments, so 4 of them. 3 fountain pens and 1 pencil. And let's take a look at them one at a time. The first one is in this box. Can you guys guess what this is? I may have mentioned it already in a previous recap that it was on my list. But for some time now, I've been hunting for a Waterman Karen. Finally bid on Katawiki, and I got this pen for 150 euros, which is not bad. It's a good price. It came with the instruction guide and guarantee, a nice case. It is this black and gold trimmed version, which usually is a little bit less expensive than some of the other colors I noticed, and hoping to compare it with my Edson. Soon I may do actually a video on it. People have seen the Waterman Karen, but I wanted to weigh in on how it compares to the Edson. Some people have some very good things to say, and other people have less flattering things to say about the Karen. I noticed there was a little bit of a leak on the outside and the inside. We'll take a look at it when I open it. Hopefully it's not leaking everywhere. The outside is in excellent shape. I got to tell you, both the body, the trimming is in excellent shape. So I'm happy about that. Is there a leak? I don't see any, but did experience a leak during the week when I opened it up for some reason. Now, was it because I shook this pen in some way? I'm not sure. But here it is. Very nice nib. We'll see how it writes. And stay tuned. It is a fine. So that's one of the pens that I got. The other one that I got, by mistake, I ordered a Majon C4, thinking that I didn't have one in my collection. This goes to show you, when you buy so many pens and everything is with numbers, you have to pay attention and make sure you already have it. And yes, I already owned the same pen but in a different, let me just pull it out here. I had owned the clear version of this pen, and I didn't realize I had it. And then when I got it and went to enter it into my data bank, where I keep track of all my pens, I noticed the entry was already there, and I had 2 entries for the C4. Then I went back into a box, and lo and behold, there it was. So that was pretty embarrassing, but thank God it wasn't expensive. I mean, in hindsight, it's not bad because I get to see what this blue resin does. On the other hand, I didn't really need this pen. I filled it with what is it? The Dieman blue flame. So we'll take a look at that in a second. So we'll put that aside. So here is my Karen. Here is my C4. Of course, here's the Lemon M8. Now, one of you, I think it was the Inkwell Studio, mentioned that I could remove this top finial. Because in some of the other pens, they actually have the 5-star Mont Blanc look-alike tip, if you will. I'm really enjoying this pen, so we're going to revisit this pen shortly, especially with that. We put in that pen this ink, which was the Stars in Autumn by Waringal. I've discovered a beauty in this ink. I'm just hoping it doesn't clog and dry up my pens that quickly so that I can continue using it. So far, so good. So that's the 3 pens. Now, what else have I got? I'm on the hunt for pencils these days, and I did buy this Rotring. You'll recall last week, and do I have my pencil case? Yes, I do. I have it somewhere. In my last week currently inked, I had showed you this Rotring. This is a Rotring 600, and that is the ballpoint. And I just ordered the pencil to go with it. So there it is. I like these little boxes. Nothing complex, but I'm going to keep them just in case one day I want to sell. Here it is, the Rotring 600 in the 0.7 millimeter pencil. So it is the sister or brother or matching of the ballpoint. And I just hunting now for a fountain pen, and let me tell you, they're going for a real premium. So that is the pencil. So those are the 4. What I propose is that we do some writing with these pens very quickly. Actually, you know what? Do I have anything to show? No, we can do some writing right away. Okay, so let's take my Cosmo note. That was the ink swatches. We will put in a guide sheet. Very thick paper. Let's start with the pencil, shall we? Okay, is there any... There should be some lead in there. Yes, there is. So this is the Rotring. Wow, it feels so good in your hand. 600. It's the silver, because I think it comes in other colors and even in black and in 0.5 as well. And this is the 0.7. I would have preferred a 0.9, but I don't believe they offer this pencil in with the 0.9. But 0.7 is good. Really smooth, let me tell you. Love these little pencils. Next one is my C4. Let's take a look at this C4. I haven't written with it in a couple of days, just to see if that shimmering ink Diamine. So this is the Majon. Yeah, so far looks very nice. C4, sorry, and it's in the blue demo. Now, I did replace the nib. I put in a Goulet 1.5 stub because I wanted to play around with that shimmering ink. So it's a Yowo 1.5 stub. So it's got a Yowo 1.5 stub, and it has the Diamine, again, Blue Flame. I mean, the ink is really performing nicely. No complaints there. And I guess when it dries up, we'll even be able to see some shimmering. Let's take the lemon. Now, I do have to shake it a little bit just to get that shimmering going. So this is and you saw this, welcome your comments. Lemon M8 silver metal pen. It's got a lemon hand polished. Now in hindsight, hand polished medium, this pen I could have chosen, I mean it did come with, you know, a standard nib, and I don't think I have it. Yeah, I do have it somewhere here. Yeah, it came with this kind of standard boring nib. They gave you both. But in hindsight, I should have kind of tried the long knife or long blade versions. One of you mentioned that they really like the 0.6 to 0.9. So it's kind of it's stubbish. And the ink here is the Waringal. Stars in Autumn. But I noticed that even this nib kind of just slides on Tomoe River, but on this Cosmo Air Light, you could tell there's some feedback, but almost in certain instances, the nib kind of just scratchy. It's kind of gets stuck on the surface, if you know what I mean. Is it leaking? Yeah, I got some leak there. I don't know if that's just, we'll see. So this is the Waterman Karen. I forget the ink I put in here. And it's the black gold trim. And it's got a fine nib. Fine. Is it 14 karat or 18 karat? 18 karat. Forget the ink, but I think it's blue Capri that I have in here, if I'm not mistaken. So there you have the 4 writing instruments for this week. Let me just put them all for you, and we'll take a nice little shot of them for my presentation. Here we go. Be right back with the next segment. Okay, so we're back with the revisiting some of my pens, and some of them we'll take a look at what we used last week, and just some commentary. I think we're gonna have a new section now. We're gonna call Pens Revisited. These are the ones I had last week, and a couple of them were just duds, and I think I want to mention the duds and why. And it's got something to do with the paper I was using. This is typically the paper that I use at the office. So it's cheap paper. It's not Tomoe River or anything like that. And unfortunately, some of these pens didn't perform well on this. Let me show you. I think this, I have various versions. I've got Amazon. I Some are better than others. I believe this is the one that gave me problems. This is the TWSBI VAC 300. It's actually performing better here, or R, what do they call it? The VAC 700R. It just kind of didn't flow properly, and at one point started feathering a bit too much, and this stub kind of scratchy on this paper, so I didn't really like this one. To my great surprise, my Pilot 823 dried up on me because it had no more ink, so I wasn't able to use it, as you could see. So it ended up being a dud, and I didn't have ink, unfortunately. These narwhals are just not my cup of tea. I know some of you said that they skip, they dry, they're not constant. The writing experience is not the greatest. I've kind of given up on narwhal, unfortunately. I did not use the test tube pen just because I thought that it would be even messier on this paper. If this one is going to be messy, this one's going to be messy even worse. So this is the Mahjong. I think you can hear it because this is a kind of Chinese pen or bobby nib, and it's scratchy, and I wasn't going to use it on that paper. I did end up using these two, but they were too fine. Both the Trammel and the Narwhal, too fine for my taste. The 699 ran out of ink as well, so that wasn't good, but I did use quite a bit. I did not use my pen BBS. It's thin, fine nib, and on this paper it just doesn't work out well. I was a little bit shocked at my Asvine V169. I thought it was going to carry me through, but it's you could see there it's not writing. It wasn't constant. After a while it dried up on me while I was writing because the ink somehow is not going through. Now some of you mentioned that you need to space out that second chamber just a bit. If you open it up too much, then there's no flow. I don't know what it is. It's the second time that I experienced problems in long writing sessions with these Asvine vacuum fillers. I'm hoping it's not a trend. I'm going to be testing several of my vacuum Asvines to see if they all have the same problem. Because certainly right after you ink it, you do a sample, beautiful, everything works out. But when you're doing a long writing session, I found myself having that problem. At the end of the day, this monster took the prize last week, and I am reviewing it next week, so I won't spoil, but I got to tell you that this ended up being a workhorse for me all week. And maybe it's just when I compared this to the others, it kind of, it drew me into its trap, this monster did. But stay tuned for my review of this pen. So those were in fact, the pens for last week. Oh, by the way, this ballpoint, fantastic. Did a lot of signatures with this. It's a ballpoint that writes like a gel pen, smooth. Even on this paper, very, very nice. So this is a winner, a real winner. If you can pick it up, if you need a ballpoint pen and you want something that's kind of sharp and fun looking, the Rotring, recommended. Okay, so that's that. Now, apart from that, let's take a look at some pens that I want to revisit with you. And for that, I will take out a bunch of pens. Be right back. Okay, so for my pens revisited, first of all, I'm going to use one of my old Obonichi notebooks. Okay, this is original Tomoe River paper because it is a 2021. I reviewed this pen this week. Now, I noticed that majority of you don't like Italian pens, or at least didn't click on it. Don't understand why. Could be that this is just out of, most of us, I mean, even my range, it's just an expensive pen, and it's not as attractive, I guess. But you're missing something. I got to tell you, I've been all over this Leonardo Officina, but this nib and this pen is performing just fabulously. Now, one thing I forgot to mention in my review, and it was pointed out to me by my friend at Fontaine de Plume, he asked, does the nib have any bounce? So this is the Leonardo La Fenice 14 karat number 8. How can I put this? I don't feel the bounce because it's so smooth that, I can write with it very gently. In fact, I have to be gentle because if I press too hard, it just kind of runs away from me. But if I deliberately push on it, very little bounce. It's fairly rigid. Now, in my review, I did compare it to my Pelican M1000. I compared it in terms of flow. This too kind of runs away from me, okay? Because it's so smooth and juicy. But you can't compare the bounce. Take a look at the bounce on this. You see that? And I'm being gentle with it. This is bouncy. So there's no comparison. How does it compare to my... I guess it does compare. It has the same lack of bounciness as my 149. This is my Mont Blanc $149. And if you take a look at the way it bounces, not much. Fairly rigid. But it's so smooth that you have the feeling that it's soft. But I think it's more a question of it being so slippery in terms of ink flow and writing experience. So I would say to you that it more resembles the 149. Certainly, if you take the Majon Sun nib, much more bounce on this nib. This is the Majon Expedition, I think it is. It's on the 140, but the Sun nib, you know what I mean? This has got a lot more bounce than that Leonardo. The same I would say to you with this Asvine number 8. This is the Asvine number 8. Got a lot more bounce. So that's plus and that's plus. It is equivalent to, however, my Leonardo Ebonite number 8 steel. This is the Leonardo steel number 8 nib. This has a little more feedback, but in terms of bounce, just as rigid. In fact, I would say to you that this steel nib probably has a little more bounce than my Leonardo. Let's go back to the Leonardo just to show you. You can see, so the La Fenice, I would say to you, is fairly stiff. But it's got a soft feel just because it is so well tuned and soft. Now, if I compare it to a Leonardo, I don't know if this is going to write. I haven't written with this. This is a 14 karat number 6 La Fenice branded, but I think it's a Yowo nib. So this is the Leonardo. It's not writing. Yeah, there's no more ink in here. But in terms of bounce, let me just show you. In fact, this one probably has more bounce than my number 8. Let me go to number 8 again. Yeah, this is more stiff. So now, this is this a fine? It doesn't say. I forget now. I'm not sure if this is a fine. Has it got something to do with the fact that this is a medium? I'm not sure. But I thought I'd address that. So there you have it. You have my friend at Fontaine de Plume asked question, and it was answered. Now, the other thing I had last week is I asked you your opinion on these 4 pens. The Asvine C2000 Ebonite, the Asvine C80, the Asvine C2000 Stablewood, and the brand new Asvine V800, and which ones you would prefer. And the winner, by a long shot, is the C80. It may have something to do with price, but the Asvine, wow, the C80 was number 1. Number 2 was the Ebonite C2000. Number 3 was the Asvine V800. And the last one was the Asvine Stablewood. And I got a feeling it's got something to do with the wood. Oh, this doesn't write. I should have taken the one that was filled. But you know what I'm saying. Does it have any ink? No, it doesn't. Took the wrong one. I have 2 of them like this. But yeah, the Stablewood was number 4. So I just thought I'd share that with you. I'm not going to tell you what my favorite is because it's going to be part of my annual awards. But stay tuned. I think, this is very expensive, so may not have had the votes. Whereas this thing is so least expensive of the gang, I think. I think the prices reflect that. So there they have it. But just 4 wonderful pens at very decent prices. So there you have it in terms of who the winner was in this regard. Okay, so we're back with what are my weapons for next week and what is the theme. I'll let you guys kind of look at this and maybe you guys can let me know if you guess what the theme is. These are out of the picture, and I'll explain to you why in a second. But I have an Opus, what do they call this one? It's an Opus 88, but it's the Bella, I think, model. Then I have 5 Opus 88s. One is a limited edition Endless Pens. 3 are just a simple demonstrator, and 1 is kind of a candy colored demo resin. I have the Majon C4 that kind of inspired me in terms of the rest. This is a kind of a no-name pen, and I'll explain that in a second. Big, huge pen, titanium, with a number 8 sized Jinao nib. Very nice, by the way. Then I have 3 others that are not quite the category, but I've decided to include them. This is fine international pens or something like that. I have this version, which I believe is called the Jupiter, and this is kind of the bronze bronze model. I forget the exact name. I'll put it up on the screen. And then I have a Magna Carta, which hopefully still writes. So there you have my pens for next week. This one is going to be the pencil that I've just shown you. We're going to add it to the list. These three didn't quite make it because these are 355s from Pen BBS. And this one I think is the 559. I forget what it is, but it's the year of the ox pen. They are, in fact, bulk fillers, so they don't qualify. Now, hopefully you have guessed that I've kind of chosen eyedropper pens, but in particular the Japanese eyedropper, which has a kind of a piston that allows you to close the ink from going into the section. So it serves the same purpose as a vacuum fills. You can, when you travel, but it really, you can only fill it by opening up the section and inking it like an eyedropper. So it is I think what they refer to it as a Japanese eyedropper. This is as compared to a straight eyedropper, which is this one, where you open it up and you just fill it up, but it doesn't have any stoppers from stopping the ink from going into the nib section. And this one is kind of, I've never seen a filling system of this kind, and I hesitate to move it because I don't want to make a mess, but this thing is kind of a chamber, and you can pull it up and down. It's got a big ball in there. Anyway, I'm going to try to see if I can refer you to the video where I've reviewed it in detail, but I realize it's a gorgeous, gorgeous pen. Huge, and it's all titanium. I'll put a link to where you can get one like these, but I figured I add it in just because it's so beautiful. And in some of these pens I have those shimmering inks, so without any further ado, let's do some writing, shall we? Okay, again we're going to use my notebook. We'll start with this Opus Bella. Now this, I forget the ink that's in here. What's special about this one? It's got a 2.3 stub. And it kind of, the feed doesn't keep up, but let's try it. Opus 88. I think it's Bella. It's really, really thick. And on the downstrokes is where I think I have the least consistency, you see. But it's otherwise a fun pen. But I would use that for titles and that sort of thing. I don't think I'd use that as a go-to everyday pen. I sometimes put in this one the ordinary nibs, and sometimes, just the stubs. But there you have it. I forget what ink is in there, but it's not a shimmering ink. Let's see if this works. This has, as you can see, it's got some of the shimmer, and I think it matches really nicely with the Stars in Autumn. And hopefully it's going to write on me. All of these pens, by the way, have been inked with shimmering ink, so I'm hoping that they're not a total disaster. So this is the Opus, no, that's fine. Opus 88 with a 1.5 Yowo stub with Waringo Stars in Autumn. Wow, very nice. And I'll show you because it's getting, I don't know if you can see that, but you can see that now. All that shimmer is there. That's why I'm really happy to have rediscovered some of these shimmering inks. Okay, so I think it's a perfect match for this color. Next, we have the, let me shake it up. I should have shaken up the other one as well. I forgot to do it, but I could still see the shimmer. This is the Golden Oasis that we just saw. So again, whoa, it hasn't quite flown through, I think. Yeah, let me skip that, and we'll get it to get through. Okay, I'm back, and none of the others, the ink hasn't gone quite down to the feed because I just inked them. So we'll give it some time to go down, and I'll tell you how long it takes, and if that shimmering ink prevents it from going down, then we know we have a problem. Certainly, I don't see one with this wear angle. It worked fairly fine. In this pen, this is the C40, I have the blue, as I mentioned, the blue flame. It worked fine with this one. So this is the Imagon, and we saw that earlier, C4 with the Diamine, and it's a 1.5 Yowo stub. Diamine blue flame. So that worked just fine. This one is that gorgeous titanium huge pen. It's bigger than a almost the size, I would say to you, of the 930. So this is the Mystery big titanium pen. Very nice. It's got the number 8 Jinhao nib. And you know what, folks? I mean, oh, that's me. I had not written with this pen for months. And when I picked it up to kind of just see if there was any ink, it worked beautifully. The only issue is that I have a hard time closing this thing. Here we go. Got it. Okay, the next one is this, it's Fine Writing International. I just looked it up. Fine Writing International Bronze Age Golden Armor. It's got it's brass, and it's got a Yowo, I think it's a Yowo, broad nib, or maybe even there may be a Bach. So this is a Fine Writing International very smooth, by the way, International, and it's the Bronze Age Golden Armor. Very nice, and it's got a broad. And if you're going to write on this type of paper, I think it's going to be ideal. Because it's got a round tip, so it's going to be ideal for that paper. So there you have it. Now I have this other that I showed you, but I decided last minute I'm not going to fill this pen. This is a Fine Writing International Jupiter. It's got the same nib as the bronze one or the brass one, so there's no point. What I'll do instead is I will add another ballpoint, or maybe what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the Gravitas to the mix, because I will be reviewing that pen next week, so we'll use it and then come back and revisit next week. So we'll add the new scene. I'm not going to, spoilers alert, I'm not going to show you that pen. Then next is this Magna Carta. This is the Magna Carta Emotions. It's an eyedropper. Forget the ink. But it has a, yeah, it's a broad nib. Probably a broad Bach nib from the looks of it. When I look at the feed, whoa, I'm out of camera there. Sorry about that. Magna Carta Emotion eyedropper. It's, when I look at the feed and the look of the pen, I think it's a broad Bach nib. Very nice. When I think of one of Magna Carta's, you know, just less expensive offerings. So does have a tendency sometimes to dry up on you. Don't know why, but so far so good. Maybe a question of the ink used. So that's that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look what I've done here. These pens have been in here so that I can get all the ink down. So we're going to take a look and see if we succeeded or not. Actually, before we leave, I just realized I didn't do any writing with this CANOPUS note. So I did want to show you how some of these shimmering inks are coming out. So that when we do this quickly, but just to see how it performs. So this is the Wearingeul. Stars in Autumn. Beautiful. That's one. Let's shake him up a little bit here. This is the DIAMINE. Huh. Smoother than the Cosmo Air. DIAMINE, Magenta, Flash. If it's like anything like Cosmo, it should probably show up even more than the Tomoe River. This is the DIAMINE Brandy Dazzle. Sorry about that. Very nice writing experience. What else we've got to show there? Yeah, we'll show this. Oh yes, this is the other Wearingeul ink. You see it in there? It's kind of a grayish, silverish. So this is the Wearingeul. From the Earth to Moon. And last but let's just write with a normal ink. Oh, you know what? I'm going to write with this broad. This is the Bach broad nib. And we'll write with the Magna Carta Bach. I believe it's a broad as well. Lastly, let's write this thinner one, which is a Jinhao. Sorry, that's me. Number 8, fine nib. Or maybe even medium. No, that's the medium. last but not least, we'll write with, not last, we're going to write with this. Where is the other one? Come on now. This is the Rotring 600.7 pencil. And the Rotring 600 ballpoint. There you have it. What does it look like on the other side? Ha! Less ghosting than we have in Touma River. It's going to be success, this paper. Let's hope it cost me a fortune to get it to Canada because it came from Japan, and with the delivery charges, it would make no sense. The CANOPUS paper is going to have to be available somewhere near you all. Otherwise, it becomes a very expensive proposition. But I'm glad to see that there is a Cosmo Air alternative out there, and I thought I'd show you that. So that does it for my weapons for next week. Now we can stay tuned for my next segment. Okay, so we're for my last segment, which is YouTube review. I've got 3 YouTube review from other reviewers that I'd like to mention to you. The first one is very interesting, especially if you're a newbie in this hobby. For the Love of Pens has a very good video on how to clean pens, and he goes through a series of different pens with different filling mechanisms and how he proposes to clean those pens. He does a really good job, well organized, well done. So I would recommend that, especially if you're new to this hobby. Second one is my friend at Fontaine de Plume. This is his continued series on nibs. In this particular series, he takes a look at Schmidt and Hongdian nibs. Always interesting, well recommended. And third is Atlas Stationers. Looks like they may have, I think this is a new series they have, a kind of blogs or podcasts. And this time, Atlas Stationers is going to be reviewing different types of inks. What's the difference between a dye-based ink, a pigment-based ink, and an iron gall ink? Very interesting. So those are the 3 that I recommend for this week. In terms of my own YouTube reviews, well, you should expect normally, apart from this video, on Wednesday I should be publishing my review of the Gravitas Monster, and I probably going to throw in next Friday another pen. I'm not sure which, depending on what I receive and depending on what comes in. I'm taking a look at that Natami. Might come in by then, in which case I might review it, have it available for next week as well. If not, there are plenty of other things that I'm working on, but not going to mention them until I know that I'm actually going to do them. So there you have it. That brings us to an end. Hope you've enjoyed another weekly recap. Please subscribe. If you've gotten to this point, I would really appreciate you subscribing. It helps the algorithm and it keeps the lights on, as Mr. Hemingway Jones would say. Thank you very much. Enjoy your pens. Enjoy fall. Cool here in Canada, but interesting. A lot of sun. Take care, folks. Have a great week.